My beloved child, before your thoughts begin searching for a familiar face, stay with this moment for a little longer. The message you are about to hear is not meant to fill your heart with fear, but with understanding. Sometimes life changes quietly, and those changes can feel confusing before they reveal their purpose. Imagine standing beside a river that suddenly changes its course. At first, it seems as though something precious has been lost. Yet as time passes, the new path brings life to places that had been dry for years. What if the changes you fear are not arriving to take away your future, but to reshape it in ways you cannot yet see? Stay until the end of this journey. The greatest revelation is still waiting. Before you decide what this title means, ask yourself one question. What if the person you are thinking about is not the answer this story is pointing toward? The truth hidden beneath the surface is far more surprising than your first impression. There are moments when people naturally grow in different directions. There are seasons when conversations become less frequent, priorities change, and new paths begin to unfold. These moments can feel like endings, yet they often become the beginning of unexpected growth. Imagine a tree in autumn. As the leaves gently fall, it may appear that the tree is losing something important. But the tree is not being abandoned. It is preparing for a new season that cannot arrive while it continues holding onto what has already completed its purpose. What if the greatest lesson is not about someone disappearing, but about learning that every season carries its own purpose? Wait a little longer before reaching a conclusion. The story is only beginning, and the most meaningful understanding has not yet been revealed. Now the atmosphere begins to shift. The title may have led your thoughts in one direction, but the deeper message is inviting you to look beyond appearances. Sometimes the greatest changes are not about losing people at all. Sometimes they are about leaving behind fear, unhealthy expectations, or old versions of yourself that no longer belong in your next chapter. Hold on to that thought. The next part will reveal why the most powerful transformations often begin with a change of perspective, and why what first appears to be an ending may quietly become the doorway to a future filled with greater wisdom, peace, and purpose. The next chapter begins with a question that almost everyone overlooks. What if the greatest changes in your life are not designed to take something valuable away, but to help you recognize what truly belongs in your future? Imagine walking through a vast garden where every flower blooms in a different season. If every blossom remained forever, the beauty of each new season would never be seen. Life often unfolds with the same quiet rhythm. Stay a little longer. The meaning behind this message is far deeper than it first appears. There are relationships that encourage growth, conversations that inspire courage, and seasons that teach unforgettable lessons. Yet not every chapter is meant to last forever. Some chapters complete their purpose so that another, even more meaningful one, can begin. Before you decide this story is about loss, consider the possibility that it is really about preparation. Think of a traveler crossing a mountain trail with a heavy backpack. At the beginning of the journey, every item inside seems essential. But as the climb becomes steeper, the traveler realizes that carrying everything forward makes reaching the summit much harder. One by one, unnecessary weight is set aside, not because it has no value, but because it no longer serves the journey ahead. Life has moments that feel exactly like this. Sometimes what quietly fades from our lives has already fulfilled its purpose. Sometimes what feels like distance creates room for wisdom, peace, and new opportunities that could not have entered otherwise. You might miss the turning point if you leave now, because the answer is not found in asking, "Why is this changing?" The deeper answer comes from asking, "What is this change preparing me for?" That single question begins opening doors that once seemed impossible to see. Now the story reaches a place where every earlier clue starts connecting. The title suggested one possibility, but the deeper truth is still waiting beyond the next chapter. Why do certain changes happen precisely when they seem least expected? Why do some endings quietly become the beginning of entirely new opportunities? Hold those questions close. The next part will reveal why timing often carries a purpose that can only be understood after looking back, and why the greatest blessings sometimes begin disguised as changes we never thought we wanted. A quiet shift is taking place, and it is easy to miss if you only look at what is changing on the surface. Imagine a lighthouse standing through countless storms. The waves rise, the winds grow stronger, and the shoreline looks different with every season. Yet the lighthouse remains focused on its purpose, guiding travelers toward safer waters. Life often asks us to do the same. What if the changes happening around you are not distractions, but gentle redirections? Stay a little longer. The greatest revelation is still ahead. Many people spend their energy trying to hold every chapter exactly as it is, only to discover later that the next chapter contained the very piece they had been searching for all along. Sometimes the future begins the moment we stop resisting the natural movement of life and start trusting that every season carries its own wisdom. Now picture an artist carefully restoring an old painting. Before the true colors can be seen again, layers of dust and faded varnish must be gently removed. At first, it looks as though something is being taken away. In reality, the original beauty is being revealed. What if some of the changes in your life are working in the same quiet way? Perhaps they are clearing away confusion, outdated expectations, or relationships that have already completed their purpose, making room for healthier connections and greater understanding. Before you decide that every goodbye is a loss, ask yourself one thoughtful question. If something leaves your life and creates space for deeper peace, clearer purpose, and stronger growth, was it truly taken away, or was your path simply being prepared for what comes next? Wait until the final moment before drawing your conclusion, because the most meaningful answer has not yet been revealed. The atmosphere is changing once again. Every clue you have heard is beginning to fit together, yet one essential piece is still hidden. Why do some changes happen at the exact moment they seem hardest to understand? Why does clarity often arrive only after the season of uncertainty has passed? Hold those questions close. The next chapter will uncover the deeper reason why certain people, situations, or old ways of thinking quietly fade from your journey, and why what first feels like an ending may ultimately become the beginning of the most meaningful chapter of your life. The journey is beginning to reveal a pattern that was impossible to see at the start. Imagine a master builder standing before a house that has been under construction for many months. To those passing by, the temporary walls, tools, and unfinished rooms appear chaotic. Yet the builder already sees the completed home. Every beam, every adjustment, and every change has a purpose. Life often unfolds in the same quiet way. What feels confusing today may be preparing something far more meaningful than you can currently imagine. Stay a little longer. You might miss the turning point if you leave now. Before you decide that this message is only about another person, consider one possibility. What if every unexpected change has been creating room for greater peace, stronger relationships, and a future that could not have existed without these quiet transitions? Think about the changing seasons. Autumn never argues with spring, and winter never tries to hold back summer. Each season knows when its purpose has been fulfilled. In the same way, some chapters naturally come to a close so that new ones can begin. This does not erase the value of what came before. Every conversation, every friendship, every opportunity, and every lesson leaves something valuable behind. But carrying every season into the next would prevent new growth from appearing. Ask yourself one question before moving forward. If your future is meant to become brighter, stronger, and wiser, could some changes simply be making space for that future to arrive? The answer is closer than it has ever been. Wait until the final moment, because one important truth still remains hidden beneath the surface. Now the story stands at the edge of its greatest revelation so far. Every reflection, every quiet lesson, and every unexpected turn has been guiding you toward one complete understanding. The title invited you to think about someone disappearing, but the deeper meaning reaches beyond that first impression. There is still one final layer waiting to be uncovered, and it explains why this message reached you at exactly this moment. Stay until the end. The next chapter will connect every clue into one powerful conclusion, revealing why the greatest changes in life often become the greatest blessings only after enough time has passed for their purpose to be fully understood. Another piece of the picture is quietly falling into place. Imagine a skilled navigator sailing through a thick morning fog. From the deck, only a short distance can be seen, making every turn feel uncertain. Yet the navigator trusts the compass, knowing that the shoreline will appear at exactly the right moment. Life often unfolds with that same quiet precision. What seems hidden today is not necessarily absent. It may simply be waiting for the right time to become visible. Stay a little longer. You may be far closer to understanding than you realize. Every unexpected change, every unanswered question, and every quiet transition has been leading toward a truth that could not have been understood any earlier. Now consider a different perspective. What if the greatest gift is not that certain people remain forever, but that every meaningful connection leaves behind wisdom that continues shaping your future? Imagine a candle lighting another candle. The first flame loses nothing, yet the room becomes brighter. In the same way, every season of life leaves something valuable behind: greater patience, deeper gratitude, clearer priorities, or stronger character. Sometimes a chapter closes because its lesson has already been learned. That does not diminish its importance. It confirms that your journey is moving forward. Before you decide that every farewell is a setback, ask yourself one quiet question. If a new opportunity required more peace, more wisdom, and more courage than you had before, would today's changes actually be preparing you to receive it? Hold on to that thought, because it leads directly to the heart of this story. The atmosphere has changed once again. The mystery is no longer about wondering whether change is coming. It is about discovering the purpose behind that change. Every chapter has quietly guided you toward one final understanding, yet one essential truth still remains hidden. Why does clarity often arrive only after we stop trying to control every outcome? Why do some of life's greatest blessings first appear disguised as unexpected transitions? Stay until the very end. The next chapter will reveal the answer that connects every lesson, every quiet moment, and every unexpected change into one complete picture, showing why this message found you at precisely the right time. The deeper you travel into this message, the more one truth begins to emerge. Life is rarely transformed by one dramatic moment. More often, it changes through a series of quiet decisions, subtle shifts, and unexpected circumstances that only make sense when viewed from a distance. Imagine a seed resting beneath the soil. From above, nothing appears to be happening. Yet beneath the surface, roots are stretching, strength is forming, and new life is preparing to rise. If someone judged the seed too early, they would never believe what it was becoming. In much the same way, some of the changes unfolding around you may seem ordinary today, but they could be preparing extraordinary opportunities that have not yet come into view. Stay with this story a little longer, because the most meaningful connection is still ahead. There is another perspective that deserves your attention. Sometimes we become so focused on holding on to what is familiar that we overlook what is quietly growing in front of us. Think of a traveler who refuses to leave a comfortable resting place, unaware that just beyond the next hill lies a breathtaking landscape unlike anything they have ever seen. Familiarity can feel safe, but growth often begins the moment we become willing to step into the unknown. This does not mean every change is easy, nor does it suggest that every goodbye is painless. It simply reminds us that life has a remarkable way of creating new beginnings where we once believed only endings existed. Before assuming that every closed door represents a loss, consider whether it might also be guiding your attention toward a door that is only now beginning to open. Now everything is drawing closer to its defining moment. The title invited you to expect one kind of story, but each chapter has revealed something much deeper. This has never been about living in fear of losing people. It has been about recognizing that every season carries a purpose, every transition teaches a lesson, and every unexpected change has the potential to shape a wiser, stronger future. One final piece is still waiting to be revealed, and it will bring every reflection together into a single message of hope and purpose. Stay until the end, because the conclusion will show how even life's most unexpected changes can become the beginning of a chapter you never imagined possible. You have come too far to stop now, because the story has never been asking you to fear the future. It has been inviting you to understand it from a different perspective. Imagine standing in front of a massive tapestry while looking at only a single thread. That one thread may appear out of place, tangled, or without meaning. Yet when you step back and see the entire design, every thread has a purpose that could never be understood on its own. Life often feels exactly like that. We judge individual moments before the complete picture has had time to unfold. What seems confusing today may one day become the very event that helps you understand why everything happened in the order it did. Stay with this final stretch of the journey, because the answer you have been searching for is now within reach. Throughout this message, you may have been thinking about one specific person. That is natural. But perhaps the greater question has never been, who is leaving? Instead, it is, what am I becoming through every season of change? The people who enter our lives influence us in different ways. Some encourage us to dream bigger. Others teach patience, resilience, forgiveness, or gratitude. Even difficult experiences can shape wisdom that remains long after the season has passed. When viewed through this lens, change is no longer simply about loss. It becomes part of the process of growth. The purpose is not to erase the value of the past, but to carry its lessons into the future with greater clarity and compassion. Sometimes the most meaningful transformation happens quietly within us long before we recognize it in the world around us. Only one chapter remains. In that final moment, every reflection, every question, and every hidden clue will come together into one complete message. The title may have captured your attention with the idea of someone disappearing, but the conclusion reveals a far deeper truth, one centered on hope, wisdom, renewal, and the courage to embrace whatever tomorrow brings. The final revelation is waiting, and it will show why the greatest blessings are often recognized only after we have walked faithfully through a season of change. Now the journey reaches its destination. If you have listened from the beginning, you already know that this message was never meant to make you fear another person. It was meant to help you see change through the lens of hope rather than uncertainty. Sometimes people grow in different directions. Sometimes circumstances naturally change. Sometimes old habits, unhealthy expectations, or limiting beliefs quietly disappear from our lives. While those moments can feel difficult, they often create the space where new strength, deeper peace, and unexpected opportunities begin to grow. Looking back, many people discover that the changes they once resisted became the very moments that shaped their character and opened doors they never imagined possible. The title spoke about someone close to you disappearing, but the deeper lesson has always been this: every season has a purpose. Hold close the relationships that are built on love, honesty, and mutual care. Appreciate the people who walk beside you today, because gratitude gives every moment greater meaning. And if life brings change tomorrow, meet it with courage instead of fear. No one can know exactly what the future holds, but every person has the opportunity to respond with wisdom, compassion, and hope. The strongest hearts are not those that never experience change, they are the ones that continue choosing kindness, faithfulness, and purpose through every new chapter. As this message comes to an end, take one quiet moment to reflect on your own journey. What lesson has your most difficult season taught you? What strength have you discovered that you never knew you possessed? Carry those answers with you as you step into the days ahead. If this message encouraged you to see life's changes from a new perspective, share that encouragement with someone who may need hope today. And if you would like to continue exploring uplifting messages like this, you are always welcome to return for the next journey. Until then, walk forward with confidence, cherish the people in your life, and remember that even the most unexpected changes can become the beginning of a brighter chapter yet to come.